Okay, good morning everyone, and we are continuing here in TEHILLIM, and we are in Lamed Gimel still, and this will be, I think, the last day that we spend on TEHILLIM Lamed Gimel, which is number 33. And we're starting over here today on Pasuk Yud Aleph in Lamed Gimel. And the Pasuk says, Atzas Hashem la'olam ta'amoid. The Eitzah, the advice of Hashem, the counsel of Hashem, will stand forever. Machshavos libay lidor vador. And the thoughts that are in the heart of Hashem, they will endure for generations and generations to come, which means they will be forever and ever. Says Rav Hirsch on this pasuk over here. And he writes that we find that the nations of the world, they have many plans. They have ideas and they have plans and they have missions that they want to accomplish, battles that they would like to fight, nations that they would like to destroy. And they have constantly all the things that they want to bring into this world. Nevertheless, says Rav Hirsch over here, based on this verse, that there's only one thing that's going to endure, and there's only one thing that is going to last forever. No matter what man thinks, no matter what the leaders of the world would like to accomplish, no matter what the tyrants are out there that would like to destroy the world, or destroy our nation and hurt us and abuse us and the like, only the plan of the Ribbono Shel Olam, the Atzas Hashem, the counsel of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the guide of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the wisdom of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem's ultimate plan, that itself is going to be what lasts and endures forever in this world. And this is something to be mechazik ourselves as we come to the Yom Tov of Chanukah, because as we see perfectly over there, such an illustration of this truth. And that is that although the Yevonim, the Greeks, they had master plans, they masterminded the ideas of how they were going to destroy us, undermine us, make us assimilate completely into their culture, into their ideologies, into their way of life. And they were successful, they were. However, as we see in the story of Chanukah, and as we'll see in the TEHILLIM over here, those that will remain faithful to the Ribbono Shel Olam, those that will remain strong in their emunah and their bitachon, those that will believe that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one that is running the world and He's watching over the world and He's mashkiach, He's involved in my life and the lives of every single human being that's on this planet. Those are the ones that will be zeicha, they will merit to bring about the salvation and turn the tides of those things that are going on in the universe, and even the nations that are oppressing the Jewish people, they will be destroyed as a result of the faithful few even if it's only a few, small in number. The Kohanim in the times of Chanukah, they were small in number, they were scrawny in size, they were not military giants, they were not workout artists over here, they were scrawny, skinny little people, but they had something that was very big, much larger than all the Greek army. And that was their emunah and their bitachon in Hashem. And we'll see in the psukim coming up just how true this is. The Malbim writes on this pasuk over here, the Malbim, he says the following words. He says, what does it mean that the Atzas Hashem, one moment, he says like this. He says, Atzas Hashem, the advice, the counsel of Hashem, this goal that HaKadosh Baruch Hu desires so much, it will endure forever. No man, no nation, no country, no king, nobody will be able to come and change the plans of Hashem through their tricks and their plans and their ideas. Says the Malbim, as bright and as savvy and as smart and as powerful and as dominant as we have found over history, that there are people and there are nations in this world who would like to do things that will go against the will of Hashem, you should know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu's eitzah, His advice, His counsel, which, as the Malbim writing over here, is the Tachlis HaNirtza. That means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu's ultimate goal, his ultimate plan, and Hashem has it planned out how he's going to get from point A to point B every step of the way. Nobody, no matter what they try to do, nobody will be able to destroy the Atzos Hashem. Which means that even when we see the suffering coming upon Klal Yisrael, even if we see the Gullus, the exile, becoming very strong and very difficult to deal with, even when we see horrific events, for example, like a Holocaust, which looks like, as it was said in the mouths of everybody, where was God during the Holocaust? The answer is, he was right there. Because nothing will ever change the Tachlis HaNirtza, nothing will ever change the ultimate purpose and the ultimate plan and the ultimate goal that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has for his nation, and that he has for the salvation and the redemption of this world. And therefore, even when we see things that are going on that are unusual and difficult to understand, a person with emunah, a person who believes in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and he believes that Hashem is the one that is running the world and making sure that things happen the way that they are supposed to, so then that person doesn't see the destruction, he doesn't see the unknowing and the darkness of the world around him. On the other hand, he realizes that everything that's going on is an expression of the Atzos Hashem, of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's ultimate divine counsel, advice, and the way in which he's going to bring about the fruition of his Tachlis HaNirtza, the ultimate goal that he wants to bring. It's Tamid La'olam. It will endure forever. No one will be able to destroy that. That means all of the enemies, whoever rose up against Klal Yisrael, they never once made a dent. They never made a nick in the ultimate plan of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If their tyranny would not have been part of the ultimate plan, they never would have had the chance to do such a thing. If the Greeks would not have been part of the plan to help Klal Yisrael come back and do tshuva, they never would have been given the reins to come and fight against us and do all the terrible atrocities that they did in the spiritual realm to our nation. But as we know, the famous words that are brought down by I believe by the Bach in the Shulchan Aruch, he writes very simply over there, and that is that what is it that was what was the straw that broke the camel's back? How is it possible that the Greeks were able to rise up against the Jews in such a way? And he writes very simply, Hisrashlu ba'avodah. Klal Yisrael was very weak in their service of HaKadosh Baruch Hu at that time. They were living in Yerushalayim. There was a Beis HaMikdash in their midst, Kohanim, Leviim, Korbanos, everybody coming up, Shlosha Regalim, the 3 festivals. It was a miraculous time for the Jewish people. And yet they were Hisrashlu ba'avodah. They became weakened in the Avodas Hashem. It wasn't with the same brand, the fire. It wasn't with enthusiasm. It wasn't with great excitement and looking forward to things. They became weakened. They became lax. They didn't take it seriously. Says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you're in Yerushalayim. I understand if you live in Tarzana. Maybe you won't be so excited about davening every day. I understand if you live in Pico Robertson, maybe Shabbos is not your favorite day of the week because there's a lot of other things going on Pico Robertson Boulevard over there. I understand that if you live in North Hollywood, so perhaps then maybe the learning Torah is not your most exciting experience that you could possibly have. There's a lot of other things that a person could do. I understand all of that. But in Yerushalayim, you're a Kodesh, surrounded by the Beis HaMikdash and Tzadikim, Talmidei Chachamim, the most elegant minds of the generation. How's it possible that you're Misrashal? How did you get lax and weak in your Avodas Hashem? Says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I cannot let it go on like that. Because there's an ultimate plan. The ultimate plan is that Klal Yisrael should be living their lives in the most exalted and noble manner possibly, which is something that's going to find favor in my eyes. And if you're doing things in the wrong way, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so in order to keep what he calls over here the Tachlis HaNirtza, the ultimate plan, the purpose, and the goal that I have in this universe, so I got to put you back in line. And therefore come along Yevanim, the Greeks, they rise up over Klal Yisrael, Not because they changed Hashem's mind, not because they outsmarted the Jewish people and they outsmarted the Ratz and the will of Hashem. On the other hand, it's all part of the purpose. It's all part of the plan that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has to bring Klal Yisrael back to tshuva, to return to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And therefore, no matter what we see going on in the world, someone who's a Maimin, who believes in Hashem, they trust that HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows what He's doing. So then they'll look at everything as a function of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Eitzah. It's His advice, it's His counsel, it's His direction, which is bringing to the Tachlis HaNirtza, to the ultimate goal, in order that we should be able to reach that place. V'gam machshavas liba, even the thoughts in the heart of Hashem. Shem amtsoyim shu meichin al atzasai. There are vehicles that HaKadosh Baruch Hu uses in this world to bring about His ultimate will. And even those, says the pasuk over here, even that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is in total control of. And that's really what we're saying. A person goes through life and certain things happen to them, and people come and situations arise and things happen on top of them. All of those are the emtsoim, those are the means. Those are the vehicles that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is using to bring about His ultimate goal and His ultimate plan in this world. It's not the person who's doing it. It's not the situation that has arose that is causing it. It's not the ailment or the sickness or this or that or the problem, quote unquote, that a person finds himself in this world. All of those are the emsayim, those are the means along the way to be able to bring a person to the fruition of the plan that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has. And it will be Yamay L'Vador, it will stand for every generations, Ve'atachlis Echad, and therefore he says the ultimate goal is all one in every single generation. HaKadosh Baruch Hu's plan is consistent. And that is, as we're going to see as we go along over here, that the goal is consistent, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants Klal Yisrael to come to the ultimate revelation, which is obviously going to be ultimately when Mashiach is going to come. And everything is pushing the Jewish people and pushing the world in that direction. Okay, but we have to be aware of that, and we have to trust in that way of Hashem. Says the pasuk further, I'm skipping a little bit over here. The pasuk says, I'm sorry, I'll read in the Malbim like this. The Malbim says in pasuk 12, and it says, Ashrei hagoyim she'Hashem Elokav, fortunate is the nation that Hashem is their God, ha'am bachar lenachla loi. HaKadosh Baruch has chosen that nation to be His inheritance. And the Malbim writes over here a beautiful idea, something that we have to really keep in mind. He says, Kol goy hamamin ba'Hashem, any nation that will believe in Hashem, va'oiv Hashem, and serve Hashem, v'hu Elokav, and Hashem becomes their God, Ashrei loi, fortunate is that nation. So if any nation in the world that would believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem becomes the God of that nation. Because then HaKadosh Baruch Hu is invited in to be the mashkiach, to watch over that nation. But who are we talking about? We're talking about Klal Yisrael. But more than that, fortunate is the nation who has been chosen as the inheritance of Hashem. Says the Malbim, Shechutz mebichirasa shebach Hashem le'elokav, besides the fact that we used our bechira to choose HaKadosh Baruch Hu as our God, nivchahu me'Hashem li'yisla la'am segula. HaKadosh Baruch Hu also chose that nation to be the treasured nation. And Hashem has chosen to have His incredible ashkacha pratis, His incredible overlooking of that nation, and the miraculous existence that they're going to have throughout all the generations, that's been chosen and handpicked by Hashem. But the Malbim is saying that it's a two-way street over here. It's true that we say in our davening, Hashem chose us from all the nations of the world. And that's why we are Klal Yisrael, like we said that in the beginning of time. It says, Breishis bar Elokim, that Bishvil Reishis, Bishvil Yisrael HaKadosh Baruch Hu chose the entirety of the universe for the sake of Klal Yisrael, who's going to accept upon themselves the Torah at Har Sinai. So Klal Yisrael is the purpose of creation. But what if we never would have used our Bechira and we never would have chosen to be the special Am Segula, the treasured nation of Hashem? What if we would have come to Har Sinai and we would not have accepted the Torah upon ourselves? What if we would not have followed Moshe Rabbeinu out of Mitzrayim, out of Egypt, when he was making all these miracles one after the other? What if we would have accepted the Torah, 612 mitzvahs, but one of them we said, no, you know what, that one's not for us? What if? Says the Malbim, if Klal Yisrael would not have accepted HaKadosh Baruch Hu as their God upon them, if we would not have recognized and acknowledged that Hashem is the one who is running the world and running our lives and conducting all of our affairs, so then even though that Hashem chose us, so then the relationship is not going to work. Imagine a young man and a woman go out for several months, several years, they're dating, and it gets to the point where they are ready to get married. And the young man gets down on one knee and he asks the girl for her hand in marriage. And she is silent and she doesn't say yes. And he looks at her, what does that mean? And she just shrugs her shoulders. It doesn't mean anything. And the answer is not no, the answer is not yes, it's just a silence. And her silence cannot be construed as an acceptance over here. So the marriage is not going to take place. If Klal Yisrael would not have accepted upon themselves this union between us and Hashem, so then this marriage, this relationship that Klal Yisrael shares privy to every other single nation in the world, it would never exist. So there's two things. Number one, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, He's chosen us. V'hivdi lanu min ha'toim, He separated us from all the other nations that there are in the world. But number two, if we don't choose, if we don't use our Bechira, if we don't acknowledge HaKadosh Baruch Hu's existence and want to be a part of His treasured nation, then we're not going to have the status that HaKadosh Baruch Hu would like to give to us. This is not only as a nation, but as we will see perhaps today, it's also as an individual. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the mashkiach over the world. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is watching every little detail. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is very happy to be involved intimately in our lives every single step of the way. But you must invite Him into your life. You must welcome Him in the things that you are doing. You must ask Him for help when you are going through situations that require great salvation and great help. In every single thing that a person will go through in their life, if you don't ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu to come in, so then you're all on your own. A person knows if they're all on their own, they're not going to accomplish, they're not going to be able to survive and make it. And therefore, as Klal Yisrael was instructed to use their Bechira, to use their free will, to welcome the relationship together with Hashem, and therefore we become the Am HaNivcha. Through that we open up the floodgates over here of our treasured nation status. So too in our own personal lives as well, it has to be that the way in which HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to be actively involved in our lives is if we are asking Him to come in. When you say Baruch Hashem, you are inviting HaKadosh Baruch Hu into your life. When you say Be'ezras Hashem, may it be with Hashem's help, you are inviting Hashem into your life. When you say Im Yirtza Hashem, may it be with Hashem's, may it be His desire, may it be His will, you have invited HaKadosh Baruch Hu into your life. When you examine the details of your life and you begin thinking to yourself, how could this have happened? Why did that happen? What does Hashem want from me? Should I daven to Him right now? Should I ask for His help? And you do, you are inviting HaKadosh Baruch Hu into your life. When you invite Him in, He says, I'm ready to go. He's standing at the door of the house all of the time. He's always waiting for the door to open up and we usher him inside. You know, the Meshulachim, the tzedakah collectors have started coming again from Eretz Yisrael, and they realize that in these COVID times, everybody's hanhaga, everybody's feeling is a little bit different. It used to be in the olden days, they would come and they would stand by the front door, and if your husband was home, you'd feel comfortable, and your husband would come to the door, he'd open the door and he'd invite them in, and they'd sit down at the table and they would schmooze and figure out what's going on over here. Now, because of COVID, and they're coming from Eretz Yisrael, and everybody's a little bit nervous and the like, and I'm sure that there's some Yetzaharas in there as well, that we have an excuse right now not to treat them in the same kind and merciful way that we did before, because COVID, we have to be so careful. So many people don't let them into the homes anymore, and they know that, and therefore they're not pushing their way in. But if you let them in, if you're comfortable and you let them into the house, they are so happy to come in and sit down and have a drink and talk to a human being and be able to share their plight and tell you their woes and show you all the documentation of the 17 surgeries that their wife had and the 13 surgeries that their children had and the 12 chasanas they made in the last 3 years, and they are in debt 150,000 shkolim because they can't pay off all of their debtors and the gemach they borrowed money from, and this one is ill and that one is ill. They don't know how they're going to survive another day, and their family's about to be kicked out of the apartment, and the kids don't have food on the table. Yes, these are the horrible cases that we are seeing. And if they have just a chance, they will come in a second, and they will sit down and they will give you so much gratitude that you took 5 minutes, 10 minutes out of your life and you let them in the house and you let them talk to you and share their story with you. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is being treated in our day and age like a meshulach who's standing at the door. And he's there, and we say, well, you know, COVID, all these things, Hashem, I'm not so sure. Can I bring you in right now? Can I let you into my life? If I let you in, then I have to behave myself. I might act differently. I might not be able to do everything I want to. So, you know what, it's easier. Let me just leave you at the door, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When I need you, I'll let you know. Says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that's the wrong way. I'm standing at the door. I'm waiting to come into the house. I'm knocking on the door. Yeah, like it says, Kol doidi doifek. The voice of my beloved, it says in Shir Hashem, the voice of my beloved is doifek. It's knocking at the door. It's knocking and saying, let me come in. But I can't let myself in, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You must be the one who unlocks the door and ushers me into your life. If we allow HaKadosh Baruch Hu into our lives, life changes. You're not by yourself anymore. You don't need salvation to be trusting in the hands of basar v'dam, of flesh and blood. You don't have to come up with all these ideas to try to save yourself from whatever it is that you're going through. Why? Because the Ribbono Shel Olam is here in your life. Somebody came to me maybe about 8 months, maybe even more than that. About maybe 10 months ago, I think right before Pesach time. And he was shocked because he wasn't feeling so well. He went to the doctor, they ran a few preliminary tests, nothing major. The doctor didn't like 1 or 2 of the results over there, and he brought him back in for some more tests, and lo and behold, this man was diagnosed with cancer, Rahman al-Islam. And he was so shocked. He thought he was in good shape, he thought he was healthy, he thought everything was going well. He was in shock. Now, what is the story of this fellow? This fellow comes from a very, very religious family background. They have a yichus that goes back to some of the greatest Gedolei Yisrael of all time. And as things would happen, he went through his own experiences in life, his own traumatic experiences in yeshiva and the like, and he walked away from Yiddishkeit. Between the yeshiva and some rebbeim and a wife and all different things, he walked away from Yiddishkeit. When he was diagnosed with cancer, he took it as HaKadosh Baruch Hu knocking on his door and saying, let me back into your life. If you let me into your life, I can help you and take care of you. So this man went from not keeping Shabbos for I don't even know how many years. He said, I'm going to start keeping Shabbos again. He didn't say the bracha asher yatzar for who knows how many years after he went to the restroom. The cancer that he had was, I think, in the pancreas, somewhere, the bladder, something like that. So he said, I'm going to say asher yatzar from now when I go to the restroom, it's going to be a schus. And he said, I haven't learned Torah, Gemara, in so many years. I got to start learning Gemara again. And so sure enough, the man starts coming to shul. The man starts keeping Shabbos. He's saying Asher Yatzar every single time that he goes to the restroom. And he's learning. He starts from the very beginning of Shas, Masechta Brachos, he starts learning. He went through the treatments, and he had Bli Ayin Hara, a very smooth treatment that he went through for several months over there. It didn't affect him in such a negative way. He called me about a month ago and he says, Rabbi Horowitz, you're never going to believe this. He said, I went to the doctor for whatever was an 8-month checkup where they want to examine the place where the cancer was and to see if the treatments actually worked or not. The doctor starts feeling around in the area where the incision was, where they went in there to remove the cancerous tumor that was there. And the doctor says to him after examining him, he says, Mr. Plony, he says, not only do I see no cancerous anything inside of anymore, I cannot even find the place of the incision where I went in to remove the tumor 8 months and 10 months ago. I don't know what's going on over here, but I don't even see the place where the cancer was, nor can I even see a scar in your body right now. So he calls me and says, Rabbi, can you believe that? They can't find anything anymore. I said, of course I can believe it. If you let the Ribbono Shel Olam into your life, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will take care of everything. Kol doidi doifik, HaKadosh Baruch Hu's voice, he's knocking on the door and he's saying, just let me in. Don't leave me outside in the street. Just let me into your life. If you let me in, things will change. There will be transformation. So it's 2 ways. You choose me, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and I will choose you. And once you let me into your life, I'll take care of what you need. And that's what Dovid HaMelech is telling us over here. Don't be a tipesh, don't be a fool, says Dovid HaMelech. HaKadosh Baruch Hu allows, he's giving you a choice. It's a life with Hashem, a life without Hashem. It's a struggle with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, a struggle without HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It is difficulties with Hashem on your side or going through it by yourself. What's the choice? What is even the choice in a person's mind? You have the master of the universe who is willing to come down into your life and guide you through Atzas Hashem, La'olam Ta'amai, the advice, the counsel, the direction of Hashem will endure forever. Says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, just choose me. Let me inside your heart. Let me into your neshama. Let me into your house. Let me into your dilemmas of life. I will be the one that is going to guide you and to help you. Says the pasuk, I'm skipping over here. I'm going to pasuk number Tesvav 15. And it says, Hayoytzer yachad libam. HaKadosh Baruch Hu fashions their hearts. Now the literal translation is, Yachad libam, he fashions their hearts together, like as one. Hamevin el kol ma'aseyim, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu understands all of their actions. So the simple explanation over here in these psukim is the following, and that's really what the majority of the Mefarshim write is like this: Hayoytzer yachad libam. Yeah, says the. Thought I had it over here. Hayoytzer yachad libam. The simple explanation is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says that since that I am the one who fashioned all the hearts of man, and I'm aware of everything I made them, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu says I'm aware of everything going on, therefore I understand all of their actions, I understand all of their deeds. I created your heart, I know what goes on inside of your heart. Kol Yetzer Leiv Adam Rami, the ur of the Yetzer Hara is stuck there inside the heart, and I know why you're doing things the way that you do. I know it all, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and therefore I'm watching over to make sure that you do what you do, and I will deal with you accordingly. However, The Rav Hirsch writes over here such a beautiful idea. And he says like this. He says the real meaning of Hayotza Yachalima, that Hashem creates the hearts together as one, it really means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the hearts of man for one another, for a life together in which we support each other, we aid each other, and we encourage one another. Hayotza Yachad Libam, this that HaKadosh Baruch Hu fashioned all the hearts together, it means that He created our hearts together so that we should be there for one another, and we should be there together with each other, to take care of another Yid, to take care of another person, to be always aware, to understand what that person over there is going to need. There's the beautiful Maisa that was being told about Rabbi Dovid Feinstein Zatzal, that he would do anything for anyone. Nothing was beneath his dignity, how he would do things. And people were shocked sometimes what he would do. Nobody could understand. That as he was getting older, he was very mufresh, he was very disconnected from the world of Gashmias. The world itself didn't mean much to him. He was Torah and Tefillah and being Marbitz Torah, spreading Torah to the world. He didn't care about Gashmias, his clothing and this and that. He had to look nice, but he didn't care about these things. So his hat was getting very bent out of shape. Dirty, bent, old, worn out. And the Talmidim called the Rebbe and they said, Rebbe, the Rosh Yeshiva, it's not his covet. He needs a new hat. She said, I've tried. He doesn't care. He won't go to the hat store. I can't get him to get a new hat. If you have a way to do it, Gezinter Heid, please take care of it. So a Bacher, good Bacher in the yeshiva, close to him, comes to the yeshiva, the Rosh Yeshiva. He says, can I ask the Rosh Yeshiva to come with me to the hat store today? He said, we want to pick out a new hat. So the Yeshiva says, to the hat store? Sure, no problem, I'll come with you. So now mind you, the yeshiva was in Manhattan. Benchley Hat Crafters is in Brooklyn. So from Manhattan to Brooklyn, it's a bridge, it's a long ride, you have to go there. Rabbi didn't waste a minute. But he was willing to go with this bacher to go to the hat store. They get there, and they walk in, and the hat store owner, woo, he sees Rabbi Feinstein walk in, and the bacher says, okay, Rosh Yeshiva, he says to the hat man, he says, please take the Rosh Yeshiva's size and please get him a new hat. So Rabbi Feinstein looks at the bacher and says, me? You're getting a new hat for me? I thought you needed a new hat. And you needed me to come and tell you if it looks good on you or not. Me? I don't need a new hat. Rav Dovid Feinstein, because he cared so much about a bacher in his yeshiva, about another Yid, he was willing to trek all the way from Manhattan to Brooklyn, which would be probably both ways, 1 hour here, 1 hour there, spend the time in the hat store, give this bacher his opinion, whether or not it's good or whether it's not good, all for the sake of making this other Jew happy. And in reality, they were trying to get him in there that he should get his own hat. Hayotza Yachad Libam. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he formed and fashioned all the hearts of man together. Why? That we should be and we should live for each other. He says, because all this selfishness and self-preservation, everything that goes on when people are just self-centered in their lives, that's the opposite of what life is really all about. The humanity that makes us different than the animals of this world, what makes us different is only when man has the virtues of sympathy, of altruism, preparedness to act on behalf of the welfare of others, and the kind of devotion that will lead him to sacrifice himself for preservation, defense, and advancement of the interests of others. Says Rav Hirsch, if you live for others and you don't live for yourself, you care about others and you don't really care so much about yourself. You're willing to forego your pleasures, your luxuries, your comforts and the like because somebody else needs something better or somebody else needs your help, whatever it might be. So then you are a sterling example of what humanity is really all about. Like Rav Chaim Volozhiner said over that his children said over that their father of Chaim Volozhin used to tell them all of the time that Loi la'atzmai, you did not come into this world for yourself. Ela la'achrini, you came into this world to serve others and take care of others. And if you're not doing that, if you're not being involved with other people's lives, then why are you even alive? Why do you think you came here? Hayotze yachad libam, the reason that we came to this world is to take care of other people, not to worry about ourselves. Doesn't mean you have to be a shmata, doesn't mean that you have to be down and out on the streets, doesn't mean you can have a roof over your head and the food that you need to sustain yourself, and whatever else is needed for your own benefits. We're not saying that. But what the thoughts that should be in my mind more than anything is not my own selfish needs and desires and wants, but rather I should be concerned about others and making sure that others have the things that they need. Going on further, Pasuk 18 over here, Hine ein Hashem el Yereyav, the eye of Hashem watches over those who fear Him. L'miachalim lechazo, those who wait for the chesed, who wait for the loving kindness of Hashem. That's where HaKadosh Baruch Hu watches. And it means like this, that the eye of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is on those who fear Him, and they allow their actions to be guided by His commandments, by His mitzvahs. And they are confident in their trust, and they realize that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one who will take care of them, who will watch over them, who are He's controlling their fate. And they will build their hopes not upon the power and violence of others or of their own drives, but rather upon their loyal obedience to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Which means over here, says Rav Hirsch, that those that understand that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one that is running this world, so then you should know that you have the benefit that His eyes are on you all of the time. And if His eyes are on you, then the chesed, then the loving kindness, then the goodness, then the bracha, then the salvation, all of that can come. Says the Malbim over here the following idea. Sha'ashkacha zu mishnei ta'amim. There is two reasons why HaKadosh Baruch Hu is hashkacha, why He watches over you so carefully. Number one, mitzat shem yireyav. If you are those that fear the Ribbono Shel Olam, fear even more than that, you have awe and a reverence and an awareness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So He will be mashkiach, He will watch over you, because He knows Yira really is a language of raya, of seeing. If you are trying your hardest to see Hashem in your life, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu will repay your gesture by seeing you in His eyes as well. And secondly, someone who awaits the chesed, the kindness of Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will save and rescue those people that believe and put their trust in Hashem. The more that a person will trust in the Ribbono Shel Olam, the more that a person will be able to see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one that is running the world, the more that you will see and you will believe in your heart of hearts, the more that Hashem is the one that is going to take care of you, and He's going to guide you, and He's going to be with you every single step of the way. As the Psukim go on further, and they say over here like this, here in Chaf, it says, Nafsheinu chiksa laHashem. Our nefesh, our soul waited for you, Hashem. Ezreinu umagineinu hu, He is our help and He is our shield. When a person will recognize that this is the way that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is, says the Malbim, Amar gam shalei ba tikvasam tekef, even when the tikvasam, even when our hope or our salvation doesn't come immediately, I'm calling out to HaKadosh Baruch Hu all day, waiting for your salvation. Nevertheless, I don't despair. I don't give up hope. I'm willing to wait many days for the salvation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to come through. Think about it, lahavdil alfei elef havdalos, what's going on in the world today. You have a president that refuses to concede that he lost the election. And maybe the man is 100% right. Maybe there was fraud, and maybe the Dominion machines they cheated everything. Maybe it's all true. So he refused to concede. Why? Because he's waiting for the ultimate day when they will go to the Supreme Court. They will present all of their evidence that they have. They're not presenting everything right now. They're going to show the whole media all of their evidence. They're going to present all of the evidence, and then on that day, if the Supreme Court will have the guts to do such a thing, they will rule in favor of the president, and he will remain the president of the United States for the next 4 years. He waits, and he waits, and he waits. And he's gathering all the information, all the evidence, everything that he needs. And on that day, whatever will be, January, who knows when it will be, and the Supreme Court will sit in session, he has faith and trust in the system that justice will prevail. Lahavdil, says Dovid HaMelech over here, when it comes to the salvation that a person wants to have in their life, we know it doesn't always come like that. It's not always in an instant. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. Sometimes we see signs along the way, sometimes there's a lot of darkness that's going on. Says the Malbim, nevertheless, my trust in you is so strong, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Himtina yomim rabim, I'll wait many, many days. And I won't despair. And I won't give up hope. And I won't get angry with you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Because since that I trust in you with all my heart, I know that the salvation is going to come, and it can come, and it will come when you are ready. Says Rav Gamliel Rabinovich on these words, and he says like this, Hametzapel Yeshuas Hashem, someone who trusts in this, who waits for the salvation of Hashem, uboteach boy bebitachin gomer, and he trusts in HaKadosh Baruch Hu with complete faith, muftach loy bezeh, he is guaranteed, azreinu magineinu hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to help me, and he's going to be our shield. HaKadosh Baruch Hu oizroi u'magen ba'adoi, Hashem will help you and He will shield you. Mikol tzara, from all suffering that you are going through. V'zoiche liyeshuas Hashem, and you will merit to have the salvation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in your life. What's the caveat? How are you going to get there? You must have bitachon gomor, complete faith in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that there's nothing that He can't do. There's no help that He can't bring. There's no salvation that He can't make. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is limitless in what it is that He's able to do in a person's life. And the more that a person trusts, the more that a person believes, the more that a person says, I know it's taking a long time, I'm not going to despair. It's also part of the reason we have to wait for Mashiach to come. Even though that He delays, I wait. Savlanis, patience, is one of the most premier midos, character traits that a person can have. I must realize it's not on my time. It's on His time. Things don't work as fast as I want them to work. They work according to the Ribono Shel Olam's time schedule. There's a plan. There is a reason why things take time. There's a reason why we go through certain things in our life, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is grinding the wheels over here of the ultimate fruition of His, as we said before, the Tachlis HaNimsa, His ultimate plan that He wants. And we have to go through things and go through it with faith, with confidence, with the knowledge that HaKadosh Baruch Hu in His infinite wisdom, He knows what He's doing. And if we do that, Batuach, guaranteed, Hashem will bring us salvation, and He will help us, and He will shield us in our lives. Says the pasuk, next pasuk, Chaf Aleph, Ki vayismach libeinu, and then our hearts will rejoice. Ki v'shem kadshay batachnu, because we trusted in Your holy name, Hashem. Says the Malbim, she'enoi HaTecheles LaHashem doime HaTecheles LaAdam. When you are trusting and waiting for HaKadosh Baruch Hu to bring salvation, it's not like when you trust in man. If you're waiting for the salvation of mankind to come and do something for you, you are expecting them to do what they're going to do. And he doesn't bring salvation immediately. So then, a person gets down. They didn't come through. They didn't do what I asked them to do. I thought they're going to help me. I thought they're going to make me better. I thought they're going to change things around. How come it doesn't work out like that? So we get netzav ki eino boitech al teshuasa b'bitachon chazak. Because when it comes to what you trust in man, you don't put 100% faith in a person. Not the doctor, not the lawyer, not the shadchan. You don't put 100% faith in them. You'd like them to help you, but you don't trust them completely. And therefore, when they let you down, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you're netzav, you're let down in that situation. Maybe you realize this person's not going to save me. I thought they were going to help. I thought they would do something about it. I thought they would make things different. Now I realize they're not going to. So what am I going to do, says the person. But when it comes to the Rebbeinu Shalom, your heart can rejoice. Even when the salvation doesn't come immediately. Because I trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu's holy name. Bitachon chazak, strong, complete faith in Hashem. We understand that as long as I trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu's holiness and His greatness and omniscience, I know HaKadosh Baruch Hu can help me. We trust in you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Do not abandon us. The simcha, the joy, that means that even while the person is going through the situation, which requires salvation from Hashem, as long as I'm Baiteach, I trust in the Rebbeinu Shem with all of my heart. Again, that's a tall order, but we'll try our best. And certainly HaKadosh Baruch Hu will have mercy on us, and He'll understand that it's harder for us in our generations to believe so much with completeness, and we'll try our best to do it. That itself is a schus, that's a merit that will allow HaKadosh Baruch Hu to bring the salvation, and on top of all that, it will fill your heart with gladness. You won't worry. You won't get down. You won't be nervous about what's going to happen tomorrow, what's going to happen today, because I know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is running the show. I'm in His hands. Just like an infant never despairs when they see the face of their mother, they know their mother's going to take care of them. If you're yira, if you see the Rebbeinu Shem in your life, you begin to recognize HaKadosh Baruch Hu's embrace and His love and His kindness, and that He wants what's best for us. Then you can see the panim, the face of HaKadosh Baruch Hu all of the time, and you can realize nothing bad is going to happen. And even if you have to wait, there will be salvation around the corner. Says Rav Gamliel Rabinovich, Keitzad Yiske Adam Nesimchas Halev. How should a person be zeich? How should they merit to have a happy heart? She's simcha penimius v'amitis, that will be a real, deep happiness inside. Ha'etzel akachi, the advice that Dovid HaMelech is giving us is, Ki b'shem kodshay betachnu. We trusted in your holy name, Hashem. Al yedei midas habitachen, through trusting in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Yizke l'simcha amitis, you will be zeicha, you will merit a true joy. Not superficial joy, the kind of joy that comes with things that happen in your life. You get a little here and a little there and a little bit this. That's all superficial. We cannot rely upon superficial externalities to make us happy. The real simcha that a person wants in their life, and everybody knows this, is the simcha that's deep down in their heart. Which means that no matter what I'm going through, no matter where I am, no matter what's happening in my life, I could be happy. How does a person get there? Says Dovid HaMelech, one way. Be baiteach in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, trust in Hashem, and then you'll have a deep simchas amiti, a true happiness inside. Inyanu ki ha'adam sames miftacha b'HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when a person places their trust in Hashem, ein lo daiga mikol davar sheba'olam, He has no worries from anything in the entire universe. Real bitachon, real trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu means I worry about nothing in my life. Why? Because my heart trusts in Hashem. And since that's true, the person will live and they will dwell in constant and real and true happiness and joy in their life. Bitachon, we have to work on our bitachon. We have to work on our trust in Hashem. We have to make it something that's so real inside of ourselves. If a person does, they never fret. They never worry. They never fear. Because they know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one that is going to take care of everything. It might take time. There might be salvation in the future. It might not happen today. But that's okay. I trust in the Ribbono Shel Olam, and I know with my Father in heaven, I know with that motherly love that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has, I know that in fact there is nothing at all for the person to worry about. And this really, the Rav Hirsch writes the same idea over here. He says that it's only because that we have Hashem are our hearts going to rejoice. When a person has this realization, this recognition that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is right here and He's running our lives so perfectly, and He's involved and He wants what's best for us, then that gives us joy, and it inspires us in our lives and everything that we're doing to recognize the hand and the lovingness and the benevolence of Hashem. If we put all of our trust exclusively in you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we trust only in your holy name, then He will reveal Himself to us. And then, because He's ready at all times to do that, as we said before, and that idea, that concept, it renews us, it gives us vigor, it carries us through all of the endeavors, all the situations that we will go through in life. Because then we realize that in fact, Baruch Hashem, we are never alone. We're never alone. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is right here with us. And we'll conclude over here with the final pasuk in this Tehillim, and that is, Yehi chazdecha Hashem aleinu, your kindness will be upon us, Hashem, kasher yichalnu lach, because even as we are waiting for you. Even though we are waiting for you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the salvation has not yet come. Nevertheless, we realize that you're always turning your loving kindness, your chesed, your mercy, your love upon us as we turn our souls, our neshamas towards you. The more that we turn towards you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will meet each other halfway in the middle over here, the more HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to turn towards us. And when a person lives like that, and they think like that, as the Malbim writes, Mikol Mokem Avakesh, Nevertheless, I believe in you, I trust in you, I don't worry, I have no fear, I have no anxiety, nothing. I know it's all coming from you. And I know that you run the world perfectly, and I know that you're going to take care of me. I have no doubt. Nevertheless, within the schus of my bitachon, of my trust in you, Hashem, I'm still allowed to ask, don't take too long. Don't let me hang around on this string over here for such a long time. I don't know, even with the amun and the bitachon in place, how long can a person endure sometimes the waiting process? And therefore, let it be that your loving kindness comes even faster. Rak yichazdecha aleinu tekef, your chesed, your kindness should be upon us immediately. V'toshenu tekef, please HaKadosh Baruch Hu, bring it. The bitach, and Dovid HaMelech is saying, you're allowed to ask. In the schus of bitachon that a person has, where they recognize and they realize that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one that is running the world and anything can happen instantaneously, therefore you can ask such a thing. That's a famous story with the altar of Kelm. The altar of Kelm used to have a shack that he went out to in the middle of the woods to sit for hours on end, sometimes days on end, to learn Torah and Musar and Tefillah, to elevate himself in a remarkable way. So there was no electricity, and certainly out there in the middle of the woods he brought a candle. And one day he brings this candle out there in the woods, and he was learning. The candle burnt very quickly, And before he knew it, it extinguished. And he's sitting there in the middle of the night. He doesn't have a candle. And he couldn't learn. And he came there to learn with all of his heart, with all of his soul, to work on himself the way that he wanted. No candle. But he said, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I came here to learn your Torah. I came here to do your will. I trust in you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that if you want me to keep learning right now, even in the middle of the night, you will bring me a candle so that I will have light, that I should be able to learn your holy Torah. And after he said those words, he walked outside of his little shack in the middle of the forest where nobody else was around. And suddenly he hears in the distance a horse and a carriage. And he goes and he looks, and it's a peddler selling his wares in the middle of the night in the forest. And the altar of Kelm goes over and he says, excuse me, do you happen to have any candles for sale? And he says, yes, as a matter of fact, I do have candles for sale. And he gives him a big, gigantic candle. And the altar of Kelm says, thank you very much. He pays him for his candle. He goes back into his room. He lights the match, lights the candle. And he says, thank you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Let me go back to learning. And he sits and he stands. He used to stand and he stands the rest of the night, through the night, learning Hashem's Torah. In the morning time when the sun came up and he didn't need the candle anymore, he quickly put it out. And he saved this little piece of the candle so that he could show to everybody that he would come in contact with, look at what bitachon could accomplish. If you trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you know that Hashem is the one that's going to bring the salvation, in the middle of the woods, in the middle of the night, when nobody else is around, when you just want to do His bidding and His will, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will bring you a peddler. In the middle, He'll bring you a candle. You'll light the candle, you'll learn Torah through the night. So he kept this little fragment of the candle around, and he kept it in his house, and anybody that would come and he wanted to impress upon them the power of bitachon, he would show it to them. One day there was a fire, broke out in his house, he wasn't there, and the fire burned everything down. And the altar of Kelm, he was so hard on himself to make sure that he was always doing things right in the eyes of Hashem. He says, you know why HaKadosh Baruch Hu made the fire? He says, because I had to keep that little candle around to show off that there's such a thing called bitachon. That if you have bitachon, you'll see what's going to happen. He says, a person with real bitachon, he doesn't need any samples. He doesn't need any examples. He doesn't need a candle over there to prove it. A person with real bitachon, he trusts in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that everything's going to happen the way that Hashem wants it to. He doesn't have to show off his wares to show how the bitachon worked. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu came and he burned down my house to burn out that candle, so I shouldn't have it around anymore. Says the altar of Kelm, and the Dovid HaMelech is saying, bitachon is so strong that if a person is boiteich in Hashem, you can tell HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I trust in you, Hashem. I believe in you that things are going to get better. So I want you to bring the salvation right now. I want you to bring it right now. Since that I'm allowed to ask for that because I trust in you so much, I can ask. Now, you have to be on that madrega, you have to be on that level to be able to say that your bitachon is so strong in HaKadosh Baruch Hu that it can be. But I'll conclude over here with these words of Rav Gamliel Rabinovich. Yichazlecha Hashem aleinu kasher yichanu lach. The chesed is upon us, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because we hope in you. Lefi midas, he writes over here, Lefi midas emunaso bitchoino shel adam HaKadosh Baruch Hu. According to the level of your faith and your trust in Hashem, Kain hu zeichel hashpas chasadav. That's how much you will be you will be worthy of receiving His kindness. Bim bitchoinoi rav. If your bitachon, if your trust in Hashem is very great, harehu zeichel leshefa rav. You will be zeichel. You will merit to have enormous amounts of shefa, of abundant salvation in your life. And if, God forbid, a person's bitachon, their trust and their belief that Hashem is the one controlling the world and doing everything, is weak, then God forbid the amount of salvation, the amount of help that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to bring is going to be weakened. According to your belief in Hashem, that's how you will merit to have the abundant downflow of His chesed. The af im eino roy lekach, And even if you're not really worthy of it, mitzad ma'asav, your actions are not in line with the level of bitachon, the level of trust that you have, merely having bitachon in Hashem will activate the chesed of Hashem in your life. And that's what he writes over here, like it says in the Midrash. Listen to these amazing words. Rabbi, and this is not make-believe words, these are the words of the Midrash. Rabbi Eliezer Rabbi Tanchum b'shem Rabbi Yirmiyah. Rabbi Eliezer says in the name of Rabbi Tanchum, who said in the name of Rabbi Yirmiyah, Afilu Rasha, even a wicked person, uboiteach b'Hashem, but they trust in Hashem, Chesed Yisayvavenu, Chesed will surround them all of the days of their life. We might not be worthy in our actions to call ourselves tzaddikim. We might not be worthy in our actions to say we have no sins. We have plenty of sins in our hands. But there's one thing that will give us and grant us hope and will give us favor in the eyes of Hashem. If we become masters of bitachon, the Alter of Kelm himself used to sign his letters Beis Beis, Baal Bitachon, which means the master of bitachon, of trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If we become masters of trust, and we have faith, and we have belief, and we trust in Hashem that He can do anything, and He will do anything for us, even if we're not perfect in our mitzvahs, we're weak in so many areas of our observance, we do things that we know we shouldn't be doing, we know all of that. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I trust in You. I place all my faith in You, Hashem. Says Dovid HaMelech, and says the TEHILLIM, the Midrash over there, Afilu Rasha, even if you're a wicked person, and none of you are wicked. We all have our struggles, but nobody is wicked. But even if we would be Rishon, we'd be wicked. But we trust in Hashem, Chesed Yisayvavenu, then the Chesed of Hashem, the kindness of Hashem, it will encompass us and surround us. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu's salvation will be something that we will see, not something we have to wait for in the long future, but it will be something that we see and we experience in the here and the now, be'ez Hashem. Have a wonderful week, everybody. May we all be zeicher to see the chesed, Hashem, the Yeshuas, keheref ayin, the salvation like the breath, like a hair's breadth, like the blink of an eye in our days. Be'ez Hashem. All the best.
Thank you, Rabbi.